Hey guys, so some of you who have been following my personal projects know I've been working on this water cooling case over here, and it took some time to finalize, but this is the second follow-up video along with the sporadic social media content that I've been releasing, and the case is called Valkyrie, so here's the final build. Also, huge thanks to Titan Rig for sending over some of the water cooling hardware here for me to make this possible. In this video, I'll be talking about what Valkyrie is, what it's supposed to do, the specs and features, as well as the components listed down in the description I used to build this personal editing workstation and gaming rig. And I do plan on making a very limited amount of these cases for sale, which is already listed on my website, and there is a collaboration with Titan Rig for this, which I'll share more details at the end of this video, so stick around for that if you're interested in one of these. So what is Valkyrie? Well, it's a boutique open-air water cooling case made of full thick steel, not some cheap thin aluminum and plastic like most mass-produced cases. And I designed it by pulling inspiration from my favorite ITX case, the Mobius by Yulebeast, and the Ares build from Alessandro. Now let me explain what I pulled from these two. Some time ago I was using the Mobius as my main rig, which at the time was rocking a 5900X and an RTX 3080. But as my workflow became more demanding and wanting a better gaming experience, I decided to upgrade to the Intel 13900K with an RTX 4090. At the same time, I also wanted to jump back onto an ATX motherboard in order to provide better power delivery for these more power-hungry components. Additionally, I was also running out of USB ports on the back of the ITX motherboard as I was starting to implement more peripherals onto my desk setup, and I personally don't like using hubs, so I had to go ATX if I wanted more direct connections. Aesthetically, I just really liked how the Mobius looked, so I designed basically an ATX version of it myself to meet my upgrade requirements, mainly just expanding that front panel design to be able to mount up to 4 fans. I also didn't want to copy the entire Mobius case either, because there were certain things I wanted to change and felt I could improve on, at least for my own personal use. Also, purely from the fact that Valkyrie is an ATX case means it had to be structurally different anyways to work the way I wanted it to. The Ares build by Alessandro gave me the idea of wanting to create an adjustable motherboard tray where the user could flip it based on left or right-sided desk placement while having the internal components face the user. The only difference is that Ares allows flipping on the fly and requires a lot more complex internal mechanisms that wouldn't make economical sense for me to produce multiple units of. So I kept it simpler where the user would first set up the preferred orientation and build the rest. More on the motherboard tray. It slides back and forth to accommodate different sized hardware. Let me be more specific. Radiators come in various thicknesses, and so do fans. Well, most fans are typically 25mm thick, but you also have the Fantex T30s, which are 30mm, which have been somewhat popular since they came out. GPU water blocks also vary in length, so depending on your hardware, sliding the motherboard tray allows the user to adjust some clearances. The ATX PSU bracket also slides left to right to accommodate clearance for which side of the motherboard tray the user has set up. Both the motherboard tray and PSU bracket are secured via 10x32 screws, so you just have to loosen them for adjustments. The backside also has a cover tray to hide routed cables and the back of the motherboard. It's pretty easy to install as it's just secured via 4 6x32 nuts that goes on the motherboard standoffs. Power button can be placed either on the top of the case here or in the center of the motherboard tray. Personally, I prefer to have it on the top, but some people may want it in the middle depending on your build. Cable management is normally more of a challenge in open air cases, and I think the way I have it here is not that bad, but it could be better. The routing is something I'm still playing around with, and I just didn't have the time to really do that as I was putting this build and video together in a time crunch. Speaking of being better, the tube runs I have here were also done on a time crunch, as well as certain fittings I wish I had more of, or at the time just weren't available to buy, so I did the best I could with what I had on hand. When it comes to cables and open air builds, or rather cable management in general, I think most people would say they'd rather not see cables at all. Well, I have two answers to that. One is, yes, if you can hide the cables, yes, definitely do it. But two, I think something that most people don't think about is that cables can be an attraction rather than an eyesore depending on how you route it. Let me bring up a couple examples. You can Google up server room cable management. It can either look like a nightmare or it can be an aesthetic artwork in my opinion. Another example is the custom keyboard hobby. Cables are very complementary and aesthetic on the desk if you pick the right one that matches your keyboard and how it's ran across your desk. All it takes is a bit of creativity, and cables don't have to be the bad guys. The last thing I want to talk about is an optional guard for the radiator. These guards were something I designed for two purposes. One is aesthetics, so it makes it look cleaner by hiding fans and the radiator itself, which of course is subjective. And two, it tucks away the fan cables more neatly and better routing path across the case, which in my opinion would be the cables hugging closer to the top and bottom of the case frame instead of straight across the middle of the case. So the question that might come up is, why did I only provide one mounting spot for what looks like specifically just for a 480mm radiator? Well, at the time of designing, I wanted an open air case that was ambidextrous, flexible, and also adjustable while keeping hardware mounting placements minimal and simple. In my mind, one of the things was I just want one radiator that can handle two high-end components such as the 13900K and the RTX 4090 in a single loop, and I figured a single 480 radiator would do it. Both my CPU and GPU are currently stock as I haven't done any undervolting or overclocking yet, and the temperatures are what I expected when running Cinebench and 3D Mark. The 4090 pretty much stays under 45 degrees C after running 2 TimeSpy stress tests back to back. The 13900K under Cinebench will hit 99 to 100 C, but that's not actually a true representation of realistic workflow, as these numbers are also spikes under a stress test program. When I'm video editing or gaming, it doesn't even get close to that and will stay within 60 degrees even during the most intense video editing sessions. Now, my build here is featured on the TitanRig website, and there's also a Q&A blog that you can read more about, and I'll link that down below as well. As for the sales, I'll be making a limited amount of these in collaboration with TitanRig, and those who purchase a Valkyrie case will receive a unique discount code for 20% off water cooling hardware from TitanRig's website. Additionally, we will also be giving away one free Valkyrie case to a random person, and the giveaway link will be linked down in the description as well. There will be 3 color options for the case: black, silver, and raw steel. Now for fulfillment, I will keep the Valkyrie case open on the web store for a couple weeks starting now, June 30th to July 15th, to take pre-orders. Now once closed, production will start and it will take about a week to make the cases and then another week to powder coat it, if you choose to have it powder coated, before being shipped out to you. So if you choose raw steel, not only will you save money, but you'll also be getting it at a lower price since powder coating does cost more. Last thing is, Valkyrie is only going to be sold within the US due to cost and logistic purposes. Alright, if you have any questions or comments about Valkyrie, please drop them down below and I'll do my best to try and answer everything. You can also join my Discord server, which is provided in the description if you want to stay up to date on projects like this, as I typically do make announcements on there first. Alright, that's all for now. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.